Yo, what's good? Next your name, Amolytics. Happy Saturday, the 12th today. I'll give a quick little recap of yesterday, then we'll move forward. Went 4 for 5 for the top five. Duran sold our number three there. Just couldn't get it done. Went 0 4. He was up to bat in the bottom of the ninth, and then Rafaela walked it off for Boston with a 2-run homer there. So missed there. But Luke's went 2 for 4, went single and maybe a double there later on in the game. They got Severino out of there in 4 1/3. Got him for 9 base runners, 5 earned. And then, so that went over. If you listened when I was speaking there, I said that could be a possible over there. I believe the over was maybe 9.5. And they scored 10 there. No, actually 13. I'm sorry. Athletics put up 6 themselves, so that went over the over easily. And then Altuve and Walker came through. Walker got a single against Leiter early on in the game, and then Altuve got a single against the bullpen later on in the game. And then they got to Leiter for I want to say like 8 or 9 base runners, but just didn't put up many runs. They scored 3 for the game, and then they had 12 base runners for the game too. So just didn't put up runs. Both teams, offensive, were going. Texas got to McCullers early. I believe he only went 3 or 4 innings there. They got him for maybe 9 base runners, 5 earned, I want to say. Langford himself went 4 for 5 with the homer there. So he had a great game, batting out of that 5 spot behind Garcia. I believe Garcia went yard against McCullers. Langford ended up going yard against the bullpen. I believe it was Gusto that he went yard against. I believe it was the 8th inning. Yeah, that happened. But so that was our top 5, and then we went 8 for 10 total wise for hits for the day. I do release that full list on my IG, as I mentioned yesterday at Next Gen Amolytics. If you want to see the full list, I'm just giving you guys an opportunity to mix and match. I do the same thing for homers wise. So homers yesterday, Barger did not get a homer against Severino. Did get a hit there, and then we went 1 for 5 with Langford getting a homer as well. But that's yesterday. We'll move forward onto today. Speak to today, and then we'll go from there. Starting out, I like Jackson Holliday of Baltimore. Has been batting well for quite some time. I actually noticed him when he had a series against Atlanta. Really seeing the ball. Especially against righties. Has a 162 WRC plus, a 22% K rate, a little higher there, but I'm not necessarily worried about that. I believe Baltimore as a whole, as their team, they're seeing the ball well, and seeing righties especially well. And you got Jansen Junk from the Marlins coming here. Struggles with lefties. Platoon wise, and that's all he's going to see today. He may see 1 or 2 righties in that Baltimore lineup. Has a 704 OPS, a 304 weighted OBA, and a 126 whip to lefties. So I like this for the Holiday, at the top of the lineup there against Junk. Junk's pitched decently well recently, but I will say he just faced Cincinnati, who's one of the worst offensive teams in the past month in baseball. So I don't really give that much weight. And then he faced Minnesota, in which he gave up 6 base runners there. But what you know about Minnesota, it's like a bunch of righties. They have some lefties in there, being Warner and Larnick, but they're not necessarily someone that's gonna change the game, I will say. And then Sanford got to him for 8 base runners, 5 earned there. His away start prior to that was Washington. Washington's, they're iffy. They do have some young talented left bats in there, but at the same time, they're not someone you fear. He gave up 2 base runners there, 0 earned. Pittsburgh got to him for 10 base runners, 5 earned there. And then he had one more away start in which he faced the Angels, in which they're full of righty bats and gave up 7 base runners, 1 earned there. I feel like this would be his first like big test out of these games. I haven't seen anyone that's really on Baltimore's level offensively, and I believe that they can get to him today. They actually surprised me yesterday. I didn't think they was going to get to Cabrera. He had been pitching well for the Marlins, and they got to him. So I believe, them getting to Cabrera, I believe they can get to Junk here as well. Next up, I like Marte of Arizona going against Kikuchi of the Angels. Marte over the course of the past 2 weeks has a 181 WRC plus, 13% K rate against left-handed pitching. Kikuchi has been better this year. I will give him that. He definitely has been better, but he's always susceptible to giving up hits to righties. He's not shutting down righties by any means. Is giving up a 713 OPS, a 314 weighted OBA, and then a 142 whip to lefties. Over the course of the past 2 weeks, Arizona is top 4 in WRC plus against left-handed pitching, having a 168 WRC plus. But I'll speak to Kikuchi's game log real quick. Gave up 8 base runners last week against the Rangers with 4 earned there, 1 home run. Gave up 8 base runners against Atlanta the game prior to that with 2 earned there. And then had a good game against Boston, but what you know about Boston is full of lefties. Did pitch decently well against Houston a couple weeks back at home. Gave up 6 base runners there, 2 home runs. 2 home runs and 2 earned in 7 innings. So I believe that Arizona can get to him. I believe they lost last night, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they lost last night. So I suspect them. They did lose last night. I suspect them to get to Kikuchi here early. Marte should be leading off. He normally leads off when they are facing lefties there. Next up, I got Jackson Chourio of Milwaukee going against another left-hander. I do not know how to pronounce this dude's name that he's going against. He's from Japan. He's a rookie here. I'm going to give it a shot. Agsawa or something like that. Made his debut last week. Let me see, who was that against? Because he got hit up pretty bad. Where is he at? Oxawara or something like that. Yeah, that's a better pronunciation of that. So he went against Boston last week and went 2 2/3, gave up 7 base runners, 4 earned there, and 1 home run. I believe Chourio and Milwaukee can get to him here. Specifically him, though. Like, I'm focused on him, not necessarily the team. Chourio, over the course of the past 2 weeks, has a 138 WRC plus with a 20% K rating against left-handed pitching. Oxawara has a 1,400, almost 1,500 OPS against right-handed hitters. 632 weighted OBA, and then a 3 on the whip. So I expect Chourio to get to him here. Chourio should be batting number 3 on today. Same thing as yesterday when he's facing Mitchell Parker. Like Chourio against lefties, he hits them way better than he does righties. So on the platoon side, so I like this for him. I like this for Milwaukee to get to Oxawara. Next up, I like Burleson of St. Louis. So it is a weird situation today. Atlanta has Aaron Bummer starting out the game as the opener, and then I believe it's Jesse Chavez that they're having come into this game. And then there's reports that they might have Wentz, who they just signed, a left-hander, coming to the game. So I'm not quite sure, who they're bringing out there, but in any regards, like, I'm not necessarily worried about the Atlanta bullpen. I believe this is a spot for St. Louis to get back here. I believe it's a high-scoring game again, as it was last night. Fetty's not good on the St. Louis side, but you don't really have that many lefties in Atlanta. That's what Fetty struggles with, his lefties. You don't really have that many lefties in the Atlanta lineup to worry about. You got Profar and Olsen, at the top there. Not worried about Albies, not worried about Harris. I don't know if they have Baldwin in the lineup or not, but Baldwin would be someone that hits decently well against right-handed pitching. So I believe it's a high-scoring game. If it is Chavez, I like Burleson here. I like him and Donovan, so I'm doubling up here of them two. Donovan being the leadoff and Burleson being at the 4 slot there. So if it's Chavez, Burleson has a 180 WRC plus against right-handed pitching over the course of the past 2 weeks and a 9% K rate. And then you got Donovan with a 14% K rate and 201 WRC plus. So I'm kind of banking that it is Chavez that does long relief here. But if he doesn't, I still like this. I believe that them as a team are going to get to that Atlanta bullpen. They don't have anybody to come up, from AAA or AA to pitch here. So they're I believe it's just going to be a bullpen game. And then they used some arms yesterday in that game. So like I said, yeah, I like this regardless of if it's Chavez or what. Burleson and Donovan have been hitting the ball pretty well. So those are my 5. In order, I like Chourio, Marte, Holliday, Burleson, and then Donovan in that order. Home run wise, I'm going to go with Alonso from the Mets. He's going against Lorenzen of Kansas City. Lorenzen, pitched the game of his life last week against Arizona. He really struggles with righties, in which Arizona. You have Suarez, you have Gurriel, but those are the only really righties that are going to be in the lineup against a righty. So really didn't have to see, Suarez is having a great year for sure. But he's facing another power righty here, in which I believe Alonso can get to him from that right side. After he gets past Nemo and then Lindor and then Soto, you got to face Alonso. So he's like right in the middle of that lineup. But I like this for him. Lorenzen's giving up a high fly ball rate. I want to say north of 50, and then also giving up hard hit rate around 36% there. So I like this for Alonso. He just homered, a couple games back. I know he has a couple games, recently that he hasn't got a hit, but he's really someone that I'm looking for power, not necessarily for an average. He has been hitting for average this year, though, hitting better there. But, this is a righty. Lorenzen struggles with righties. We've attacked, Lorenzen multiple times on this year. Let me pull up his splits real quick. So he's giving up an 820 OPS to righties compared to a 739 to lefties. Giving up also 236 ISO to righties. So I like this for Alonso. He's about been the only one recently that hasn't got a home run. So yeah, I feel like he's due for one here against Lorenzen. But that is my top 5, and then my homer. Again, I will release like the full list of both hits and home runs on my IG. So follow that at Next Gen Amolytics. If you want to be notified when I post, please subscribe and turn on your notifications. Like, comment, share. Any ideas that you have, I'm open to hearing them. The list, me releasing the list was an idea from someone. So, just, trying to, make it, for you guys. Anything that helps you, just bet, responsibly, but, have fun with it. But let's win some money today. Let's go.